Hello friends! Need some pointers on building user interfaces in Godot? Follow along with these videos as we build a title screen. This is a free preview of a course on how to use control nodes in Godot. In the previous lesson, we added a background image to our title screen. In this lesson, we'll add a start button. Adding a new node to the title screen just like we have done before, this time we are looking for the button node. Similar to the label node, a button can contain text but also an icon. Let's name the button Start, then also put the same text in the text field, so it will be displayed on the button. There is also an icon field, which we can populate with the Godot icon to see how it works. The button is drawn as a rounded rectangle encompassing both the text and the icon provided. The flat toggle removes any textures or colors from the button, drawing only the text and icon. However, the entire button's area is still clickable, and there is still a focus style on the button that will be drawn when it has focus. Expanding the text behavior and icon behavior sections, we can change the alignment of the text and icon to shift how they are displayed on the button. These changes are much more apparent if the size of the button is larger than it needs to be to accommodate both the text and the icon. Some of the same behavior settings are available as the label node to control text overrun. Auto wrapping, and clipping, if the button's size is too small to accommodate the text. And the icon can be expanded to fill the size of the button. BD options are also available for languages that are written from right to left. Base button is a class that all buttons inherit from, even buttons of other types. We'll go over these settings in button lesson B. For now, let's edit the properties inherited from control, starting with the layout. I would like my start button to be below my title, at 2/3 of the screen's height. So switching the layout mode from position to anchor, I'll change the anchor presets to custom, then move the left anchor to 0.5 and the top anchor to 0.667. The right anchor can't be farther left than the left anchor, so it is automatically changed to the same value. Likewise, the bottom anchor can't be above the top anchor. The button is currently to the bottom and right of the anchor, so I'll change the grow directions to both, then reset the anchor offsets to center the button about the anchor point. With the button positioned, the next step would be to edit its theme properties. If you want the button to be unique, then using the theme override section for this button would be appropriate. But if you want multiple buttons to share the same theme properties, it would be better to only have to set them once. Selecting the root node, we created a theme in the first lesson, or you can create one now if you haven't done so yet. Let's change the default font and font size for our theme, and we can see the effects of this change in the theme preview. While this theme is a property of the root node, not the button, making changes to this theme will also affect the button. This is because the theme is passed down through the scene tree from parent to child in another form of inheritance. If a node uses theme override properties like the title, then these settings will override the inherited theme properties. Taking a look at the theme panel, our theme preview contains a button node with the default theme properties, except that the font and font size have been changed to the new settings. By clicking the plus button, we can add node types to the theme, like button. This adds several properties that we can add to the theme and edit. Starting in the color section, we can change the color of the text and icon while the button is in different states. The normal font color of buttons needs to contrast with its background. I'll just use the default light gray. Often a disabled button will have gray text, sometimes even transparent. Hovered buttons might lighten the color. Pressed is sometimes darker, and I'll also add an outline color. All of the same color options are also available for the icon, which will be multiplied by the icon texture's colors to produce the result. In the constants section, we can add the amount of pixels separating the text and icon when they are horizontally aligned, as well as a maximum width for the icon. The icon's height will automatically be adjusted, keeping its aspect ratio. And we can specify the outline size for the text too. We haven't covered style boxes yet, but if using style boxes of different sizes, you can add this property and set its value to 1 to force the button to always use the size of its largest style box. We can change the font for all buttons if we want to, but I'll just use my default theme font. I will, however, make the font size for my buttons a little bit bigger than my default font size. In the Icons section, we can specify a default icon to use for all buttons. The icon set in the button's properties will override this icon if it is provided. So if you want most every button in your game to have the same icon, you would set it here. But you could also have special buttons with unique icons too. The next section is for styles, where we can draw a different background for the button other than the default transparent black curved rectangle. Starting with normal, this is what the button looks like when it isn't doing anything. Adding it to the theme, we have multiple options for how we provide styles. Stylebox texture is used to draw imported images to use as the button's background. I have these button images which I will import into Godot with the assets folder already selected. That way they are imported into that subfolder automatically. Click on the style box to open it in the inspector, then set the normal texture to the normal style box. I don't want to modify the texture in any way, but the text and icon don't really fit well into the background image. So I'll add content margins to force the icon and texture away from the sides into the flat interior of the button. Moving on to the pressed style, we can add another style box texture. But this time populate the texture with the pressed image of the button. Then add the same content margins as normal. And repeat this to add disabled and hovered. I don't have a unique texture for hover pressed, but we can quickly duplicate a style box by clicking and dragging the one from pressed into the slot. Selecting the button in the scene tree, we can preview what the button looks like when it is disabled by checking the disabled toggle in the properties inherited from base button. Running the game, we can also see the button style change when hovering over it and pressing it. However, once pressed, the button now has focus, which gives it this white border. If you want to remove this, you can provide another style box for focus. Or, alternatively, we can just add a style box empty to remove it. This button doesn't do anything yet, but that will have to wait for another lesson. We now have a start button for our title screen. In the next lesson, we'll add social media links. If you want to enroll in this or any of my courses, they're all available on my Patreon. You can also find them on Udemy and Skillshare. I have a Discord server for my followers and students to help each other out. All are linked below. I'll see you in the next video.